We are live in We Shine Studio, and I have my boy Gator, Jagator, top notch. He's out there representing the community. He's doing the trench work. He's out there in the jailhouses. He's out there advocating for the youth. He's shining light on our boys and girls who need it the most. So I want to thank you for being in this space. We have some serious topics going on. A lot in our criminal justice system, a lot in social justice. Like you said, there's COVID going on right now. Thank God that we're able to go get COVID tests. Thank God that we're able to check our temperatures before we leave. Thank God that we got hand sanitizers and things like that. But there is a population right now that are in jail cells, prison cells, 6x10s with 2 people in it. And I believe that we're holding businesses accountable. And the prison systems are a business.
When you talk about the Department of Corrections and being a business, we just had a special session when you speak to the State Assembly and Senate. And I forgive me if I'm wrong, but I want to say the Department of Corrections budget was the only one that was able to incur more money. Education, we know it went backwards. It could probably never catch up to the reality of.
So there were big cuts in education this year.
On a continuum.
So that was for the teachers, that was for the school system, the janitors.
As a whole, it's a budgetary focus. Like even some numbers that we had looked at earlier, it's all a number, and so every dollar that's missing from education, to me, is from our students. That is every dollar. We already are behind when you talk about services, as in counselors, psychiatrists. We're light years behind in that already. So any deficit or reduction in fiscal dollars for our kids is. For instance, it costs a kid, I want to say, almost $150,000 to stay in custody for a calendar year. And they can't come up with $10,000 per child, with Las Vegas Boulevard being $1 billion a day on liquidated cash a day place. So when I came to this space and realized the education and what the dollar per students, I know it's the 5th largest school district in our country, but still, it's too much money on Las Vegas Boulevard every night for you not to come up with $10, $11, $12, $13,000 per child to get these kids a shot. Especially when you are coming up with $150,000 to keep one in custody for a calendar year.
Right. So, quick question.
We can use those dollars in a better way. So when you think defund police and that's asinine, crazy, no. That $20 million from Clark County School District that's being used and allocated for that can be used in a better way if we really care about helping our children. But if you want 5 or 6 dudes that make $750,000 in payroll salary, then keep cracking how you got it cracking. And again, I don't want to get into the banter of convincing nobody. If it ain't common sense, if me telling you that Clark County School District don't got enough money to give every child, impoverished child that needs a Chromebook on time, but you got 20 mil for if that don't resonate with you in the wrong way, then you can turn this off.
I know we don't. How many kids we have in this school district?
320-something thousand.
320.
It's the 5th largest school district in the country.
We bought them all one Chromebook. That wouldn't even cost over $500,000.
No, man.
If they cut a deal,
everybody don't need one. The district doesn't have to provide one for everyone. I'm targeting the same ones you're targeting for these suspensions. The same ones you targeting with this humiliation about if you don't pay your free lunch banter, what? If what? Shut up, feed the kid. Stop it.
So we need to redirect this money.
No, it's the energy of, again, this is what Jagate is all about, trying to get our people our people is if you've been to prison. That's when I say our people formerly incarcerated. I've been touched by that system for real. I did prison time, so I'm adamant about our folks coming to the realization about voting. If you don't care about Trump, that don't mean nothing to you, okay. But if you think your son should have got a Chromebook and you mad that he gonna be behind now, because then you need to be worried about your school board trustees and stuff like that. So it is a way to be, voice your displeasure.
Have a direct impact.
If I go into a hotel room and my room is dirty, I'm going back downstairs, I'm getting a new room, and I'm firing off an email because that ain't right. Have it in order. So why wouldn't I expect the same thing from the school district who's providing my education to my child? I'm a Clark County School District parent too, by the way. I'm not just on some advocacy. This is for my son. My son, the teachers get frustrated who are 85% white women, okay? When they get frustrated with them black and brown kids, it ends up being an encounter with the school district police, which ends up opening their criminal justice history, brothers and sisters. That's what the reality. So when I talk about removing the school district police, I'm trying to remove these kids and schoolhouse behavior, bad schoolhouse behavior, turning into a criminal justice record and having them on probation for truancy. And now you piss testing the kid. He don't even smoke weed, but he on probation for truancy, and you piss testing him. It's a wicked game, and it's our job to kind of like have these spaces. Shout out We Shine Studios. Shout out Jovan, because a lot of our folks don't know. You will be frustrated. The mothers that kid is on probation for whatever he is, and he don't do drugs, and the piss test, they're offended. That's how I know about this stuff. My son is a 4th grader. He hasn't come in contact with the system. I knew it firsthand from families.
Let's backtrack a little just to inform the people, because it's a lot of people, we talk about these titles and these certain things, they don't know what they are.
Facts.
The brother was saying that we need to vote in not just presidential, but for your board of trustees. These are people that you actually elect into office. We elect people that control what goes on with our school district. I know for a long time, I didn't know that, to be honest with you. But we actually have elected officials that control our school district. And I bet there's a lot of people that's from the community that don't know that. So until we start getting involved in voting, like he said, the funding over policing, the money could go to so many other things. So many other things. And it doesn't even have to be attached to criminal justice. Safety in the criminal justice system don't even have to be attached for our children. The funding could go into so many different aspects. So that's what we're talking about today. People have this idea where no one's going to answer the phone on the other end. We're not saying that. We're saying that there's so many other ways to provide help for our children, especially we have children going to school hungry.
Facts.
Why do we have children going to school hungry, but we're paying tax dollars, millions of dollars for law enforcement over our children, people with weapons? So it's just something that we need to think about, and that comes in the place of the board of trustees, because guess what? They can set the budget.
Say that.
That's what they could do. And in an instant, they be like, I could cut the budget 50%. Just like that. They have that power. So when we bring up these titles, these are what these people are capable of doing. And that's why it's so important that we get out and vote.
Them decision makers, and oftentimes we give them a free pass. Again, I'm standing up in behalf of the formerly incarcerated, the directly impacted communities in space. And if I ask you if you know who Steve Wolfson is everybody gonna throw? They know. You know that name. You done seen that name on your paperwork. This man went unopposed, doing what he did for as long as he done been in there, a dozen years. Unopposed. Brother Langford was the only one to hop in there and swing and go toe-to-toe with him. Gave him a fight, too. That was 5,000 votes. But he's a feedback. Oftentimes, so if you see me and I'm like, hey, what's up? My name's Jagetta Chambers, man. I'm trying to handle some coordination about our formerly incarcerated brothers and sisters voting. Are you interested in voting? Is that something? Have you registered yet? Man, I ain't voting. I ain't cool. I'm not mad at you right now. me and you got to talk. I want your number. We're going to continue the politic. But I want you to know your grandma and mom probably voted because they care about it. Right. That generation, my daddy was born in 1936. Voting was a big deal. He took me, gave the stickers just like I do with my son. It was it was embedded in me through my culture. My daddy imparted that on me, you know, so I really believe I have a say through my vote. You talking about Trump and the federally, I'm going to cast it, but I know for a fact when you talk about my school board, the city council, there's some people that we look, you've been into the city council, you look at it, there's some people sitting up there, they don't care about you personally, okay?
And no one
so before you know how valuable your vote is, I got to show you where that vote is going to, them dollars too.
For the folks that's been incarcerated, when they get that piece of paper and they say Stephen Wilson, that's who the one that's bringing charges upon you.
That's the district attorney.
That's the district attorney.
That's the district attorney
here. The thing
here.
is, I want to inform you people, for the longest, you got to think what type of people have been voting for the district attorney. Your police officers, police unions, judges, people that are all for the law enforcement because they got to look out for themselves. So imagine if we created this new population. Like you said, you had that piece of paper with Steve Wilson. You're able to, now that you have the right to vote, you're able to change that name and say you vote who you want into office. And now we could demand for justice. We could demand for change. We could demand for programs. Because ultimately now we're holding that person all the way accountable because we're the ones that put them in office. And those are the things that we have to look at. And those are the things that bring power. And those are things that are grandmothers, mothers, those are things that they fought for. Trust me, they didn't hide this from us for no reason. And they sealed it in such a way that we couldn't understand. But we could really have the power of change, overnight change.
I know that nowhere else in the country are you going to walk out of the penitentiary and be able to cast your vote.
In the state of Nevada.
In Nevada, you can. Nowhere else in the country are you. There's going to be some stipulations. We see how they're handling our brothers and sisters in Florida, backtracking the citizens that spoke. They wanted our formerly incarcerated population to be able to vote. A government came in and said, hey, the trickery. You got to have all your decks clean. You know, your court-appointed nooses oftentimes. Those choke our people out. You can't do all your time and come out and have restitution that you can never be able to repay. They want that to minimize or impact your potential or opportunity to vote. And shout out Jason Frierson, the Speaker of the House.
Yes, sir.
Big dog. Shout out Jason Frierson. In this state, you can vote once you walk out them doors. So if you're not in custody, you can vote. They don't feel we're going to organize ourselves, brother. That's what Jagata feel. I really believe that they don't feel that we are capable of organizing ourselves. With voter participation being minimal, it's anemic in Clark County.
So a little bit of change will make a huge impact.
I mean, stop playing.
77,000. And we're talking
playing.
about if a small percentage of that 77,000 votes for
if I don't personally go get a small, like you said, a small, if I don't personally go get a small percentage, I didn't fail. I didn't fail everything.
If I don't go get 10 people that vote, and if they don't go get 10 people that vote,
it's a snowball effect, and that's the
like
mindset.
That.
But I'm on the front lines. This is what I'm trying to do. I know people are disengaged with our systems, so they bring that into the voting. This is new life. You got to vote now. That is new life.
Shout out to hip hop politics.
Oh man, what
that new culture, that new vibe.
Shout out Vegas Don. I was on the on a call with Vegas Don, and again, me and you done a lot. You know, I like leisure. I find who you are in your leisure. I haven't been able to kick it with Vegas Don. Man, I fell in love with that brother on the call we were on yesterday. We like-minded. It's the same vision. It's the same goals for our people, for our voice. We have to. We have a voice. We have to get loud. We got to turn the speakers up.
We got to make some noise.
It's count time. Yeah. It's count time. That's why this podcast, for real, is count time for a reason. How many of you remember count time? Stop playing. And if it's trauma, that's what we open this space up so we can heal together. Because I know saying count time, that's trauma for some people. They don't want to hear that. I take them back. But it's count time right now.
It's count time.
The election is in 70-some days.
And we trying to bring culture to our politics. We're trying to bring real culture. So we want you guys to reach out to us. We want to hear your story. If you know some people that's been incarcerated, please, reach out to Gator, reach out to me.
Please.
And, we're trying to have this as a continuous thing right here in We Shine Studio.
We want, and there, I know firsthand right now we're running into a baby hindrance of folks. They don't believe it's real. Oh man, I'm on probation, man. You can vote.
Vote.
I still got a charge. I got a felony in California. Man. You can vote.
You can vote.
Oh, I'm at a halfway house. You can vote. When you out of custody, you can vote.
Hey,
please.
guess what? You can even vote for your own sheriff.
Man, you supposed to.
What?
And this is the most pivotal. This will be the last part. And can we circle back on this? Shout out Leslie Turner. We talked.
Shout out to Leslie Turner. Shout out to Laura. Shout out to also
Laura.
New Era. Do good work in the community.
We're gonna organize around another judicial forum for them judges candidates. In 70 days, we're going to be voting for the judges around here.
Say that.
It's a judge that got the biggest
shout out to
poster.
her.
One time for BTH,
Yes.
man. Bold, tough, and honest. Belinda Harris, man. And that's what for people. I don't want a Democratic judge. It's a non-partisan.
Representing North Las Vegas.
How can you get someone that's fair and honest and partial, unbiased? Don't nobody want a black judge. I want somebody that's going to be honest and fair and depend on the resources that are in place versus sending everyone to prison.
Right.
So in 70 days, we're going to be voting for the judges.
Right.
That's going to be handing out nooses. I call them nooses. When you send that little youth, that juvenile, into adult court, you give him that 7, 8, 9 year sentence. That's effectively a noose, man.
So imagine that, people. We're
going to be sitting them in there.
She's running for office. We have the ability to put a judge in office who care about our children.
Who's going to genuinely care?
That's going to put them in programs and not hang them with a noose.
Because that time is a noose. If you did prison time, say aye. It's a noose. It's hard to bounce back from that. So we don't want to be thrusting our children in that.
Right. So these are the topics that need to be heard. These are things that haven't been addressed. I know next week I do want to talk about the restraint chairs that are used in the jailhouses.
There's some action around that now too.
That's a topic I want to reach on, but I want to thank you for everyone for tuning in. We with Jovan Jackson.
Jagada Chambers, man, love and respect.
Thank you for your time. Peace and love.